Hello, my name is Mark Mantis Dubois Jr. And I was born July 4th, 1986. Sitting out here in the darkness today has really got me thinking about something I said yesterday and a new book that I started reading that greatly appreciate some people out here that are able to write some amazing books for us to be able to read, to be able to learn from, to be able to get a whole lot of insight and understanding in such a short amount of time. And I always appreciate the people that come onto this YouTube that like to clarify some more information about what it is that they have read. Not just stuff that they've even personally experienced, but stuff that they have read from hundreds and thousands and millions of people's experiences. And it's such a fascinating thing. Something today that I want to not even say talk about, but ask some questions based on some things I said yesterday, which is weird that I was talking yesterday and saying some things, and then today reading something that just really led me down a path of wanting to ask a couple of questions to some people that just don't want to believe in God, have any understanding, and just is like, that's silly, that's stupid. I don't believe that. I don't know what it is with me, but it's something that I've really tried to pray and ask about is how not that I could convince anybody of who God is in reality, but I'm asking for that so that I could be a person to be able to at least bring one other person along with the journey that I've been on to getting closer to Christ, so that I could say something to you to just get you thinking a little bit, to make you wonder. And one of the things that I was saying yesterday was the concept of talking about some monkeys. And I don't need this to be a race thing, but some people say that we came and we evolved from nothingness. So I want to go off the evolution thing of believing that this world just blew up and it came to a place and we're here today. To me, that's more complicated believing than believing that a creator created this, believing that things just miraculously happened. I don't know, that requires more faith to believe that, as opposed to having faith in a God that created this. But thinking about that concept of how we started and how we came, that we're all just these little atoms floating around, and that we as humans just ended up coming here out of that. That we basically were animals at one point one day, and then we evolved and got away from those animals, and now we're here. That we like came from monkeys at some point, that some people believe that we were monkeys, and then we moved on, and now we're doing what we're doing today. The only thing that I can say with that is, why are there still monkeys here today? Question. If we evolved from that, why are there still monkeys, and why are they all not eradicated at this point based on turning into human beings? Question. Another question is, how is it that we as humans, like, I guess I can get it. This is why I want to start asking some people more questions that aren't involved with things that I do on a day-to-day basis, that I surround myself with a bunch of animals all day. It's not I've been doing this my whole life. I haven't. I've only been doing this for coming on 5 years now, and especially just this past 3 years that I've really just smothered my life in animals and an abundance of animals. I don't just sit and feed them and just leave. No, I sit and I study them. I watch them. I pay very close attention to them. There's just something that goes on with 100% of the animals. I remember my first mission coming out here on this farm was bringing wild birds around. There were no wild birds here. Like, there were no pigeons. There was no hawks. There was no eagles. There was no, I don't think we have eagles here. I've never seen that still. But no owls. There were no cardinals, no chickadees, no nothing. So I was bringing them in. And I brought them in because they were just scared. Whoever lived here before just went on a rampage. There was like an abundance, thousands of shotgun shell rounds, like spent rounds everywhere out here. So I'm like, I can see why there's no birds, because they're just scared to come in here. So me bringing them in. And now I have an overabundance, and they get to flourish, and they're loving life. I see all the pigeons, and they all flock to this property here because it's pigeon hunting season right now, and everyone's shooting. And they're all like, I'm the only place that's not shooting, so they're all gonna come here. So I've got an abundance of them right now, and it's beautiful to see in my front field, which I kind of claim to why it's starting to grow, and I don't notice others growing. That I got all that wildlife that's coming here. But I've just noticed something about all of these animals, all these birds, all these critters, all these creatures, all this everything. Nothing of any of them are able to do anything near close to what it is that we do as human beings. No, I mean nowhere near. Cows, when it's raining, they're pretty intelligent, I'll say, with going towards, like, we're going to go to the tree line. We're going to go stand in the trees, or we're just going to stand and deal with the suck. We're just going to stand in the middle of it. Most cases, that's what they do. Unless it's like some hurricane-looking type stuff. They just stand in the middle of it and just get wet and just deal with it. Chickens do the same thing. The dogs, in reality, do the same thing. The birds do the same stuff. They all just do the same thing. Their instinct is to hunker down in a way of what just dealing with it. But we as human beings, we created shelter in such a fantastic way that we didn't just create the shelter of just sitting inside of a cave, which some animals do, by digging holes into the ground, which some animals do. But we as human beings have created even basements in some homes that we created. We went down, but we're going up. We go up. And then we do these things of called like insulation. We put it in the house to make sure that it's weather tolerant. We do things like prettifying it by putting plaster inside is what we started with. And then we started using this drywall stuff. And I don't know what they're doing today other than drywall, but we start to prettify it. Then we can make it smooth or we can add texture. Then we beyond prettify it by painting it. Then we beyond prettify it by putting like wallpaper on it. Then we beyond prettify by doing these like cool, fantastic faux finishes. Just these one-off, one-of-a-kind, artistic type things that I greatly appreciate. That's my favorite. Just that's what we as humans do. We don't just make a shelter. We like make a home. We decorate it. We put little knickknacks in it. We make it so comfortable. We make it so nice. I don't see a single animal do that. Why is that? If we evolved from some animals and we're here today, why do we do such a thing? Why do we have such a multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry of stores that just sell you things to just add to your home that have no like actual value other than just it looking cool? It's not like it's actually helping your day out. It's just what is something that someone wants to buy? A table that goes in your foyer to just walk by that just has pretty things on it that you don't actually use. You don't use any of it. In reality, you waste time on cleaning it because you got to wipe it off and dust it and do that, but you don't actually use a single item on it. It's just there. We as humans do that. I don't notice a single animal go in its bird nest and like, hey, honey, let's go get us this and let's go get us a chair and let's go get us that and let's go get this to be able to just have a painting on the wall. If we evolved from these animals, why do we do such a thing? That's such an intelligent thing for us to be able to do. Why do we take items such as like metals that we find? We find metals, we find some copper, we find some iron, or we make iron. We find some gold, we find some silver, we find some platinum. We find all these things and we decide, I can make something with this. And then we melt it down. We figure out the temperature to be able to melt it. We figure out how to be able to regulate a fire to be able to make sure that we can keep the right consistency to be able to mold it into something. And then we make casts and we pour it into these casts and then we just do stuff. Like we make jewelry. Like we put rings on, we make necklaces. Like nowadays it's like every these guys gotta have these big necklaces on. I have yet to ever see an animal of any sort do anything like that. Anything. But we came from animals. Wouldn't at some point these animals be doing things that are like us, similar to us, if we evolved from that, if we were from that? It's just weird to me. It's very weird to me. But we as human beings, we don't just teach our children to just, in reality, we say we teach them to go off and go and do their own thing, but yet we're always in contact, and we always want to stay in contact. There's some out here, like the buzzards, the turkey things, the vultures. They live in like generational households. They're the ones that I would say is the most similar to what human beings do. The grandparents are there, the great-grandparents are there, the great-great-grandparents are there. They just build and build and build. It's super interesting. But for the mass majority, they don't, I guess that's the way I can say it. They don't love their kids. They don't have compassion for the kids. They don't care for their kids. It's like a chore to them to just get to the point of being able to just leave so they can do their own thing. It's a natural instinct that they don't put extra into them. They just give them bare minimum what they need, and then they just push them off and leave them. I've watched many animals be born and alive here on this property that just really shows me that trueness. That when a cow gives birth to her calf, all she does is she feeds it. She'll lick it clean here and there, but she just feeds it. And then in reality, she doesn't. I don't know where they're going right now. They'll figure it out. But they don't really show any like, I care too much about you. I care a lot about you. Like they just don't show a loving thing with them. They just don't. They do the bare minimum to keep them alive. Which there's some human beings that do that. They just do the bare minimum. I've ran into that situation in my life, but they don't try to do anything extra. They just keep them alive and thinking that's good enough. That's something that animals do, but we as humans, for the regular average person out here, we do a lot more for our children. We do so much more. We do so much great things for them. But if we came from animals, well, why don't we see a lot of animals do stuff like that? It's just very interesting to me. If we came from animals, why is it that we are always thriving to just always, something that I'm going to say is just that I noticed today is really, really lets me know that God is real. is we don't want to say what our parents have done. We want to do greater, more, better. Sometimes we end up worse, but for the most part, we're always striving to do something better. I just don't see animals do that. I see animals just give birth and they do what their parents did and they do the exact same thing. You could pretty much count on what they're going to be like and what they're going to do based on what the parents are like. You could just pretty much like count on it. That a dog is going to be a dog and it's going to do dog stuff. A cow is going to be a baby calf that turns into a cow or a bull, and it's just going to do what cows do. It's just what they do. We as human beings, we do an unlimited amount of things. We are always constantly just changing and being different. And we don't ever just stick with the same, something I could say, like just exactly like that. We don't stick with the same style. We're changing. That there's a such thing as like an 80s style. We got 80s music. We got 80s clothing. We got 80s hairdos. I think I'm going to the 80s hairdo right now. I'm not sure. I don't know what year that is. I think they were doing that in the 70s. Maybe the 80s, the afros are going away. But just we have things like that you could tell 80s attire, 80s shoes, 80s pants. I remember 80s pants. And then we go into the 90s, and then we got the 90s music and the 90s hairdos and the 90s clubs changing up and how everything was. And we just change. We change. We don't stay in the same styles. That in reality, you can kind of look through history and just look at pictures of us and just be like, that's crazy, where we were and where we are. Something that I was just realizing this past couple days is helping out somebody and seeing one of the cars that they have, an old car. I think it was a 60s Oldsmobile. Beautiful. I mean, stunning. When I just look at it, I just can't get away from looking at how beautiful this just piece of equipment is, this vehicle. And I see stuff today, and I'm just like, what happened? Where'd we go? Like, why is it so bland? But you can see a big difference here. I don't see animals doing that. I see animals do the same thing year after year, generation after generation, just over and over. They always do the same stuff. A cow is always eating grass off the ground. It's not like one day they evolved and said, you know what, we're gonna cut the grass down ourselves, and then we're gonna store it up in the barn, and then we're gonna have some for later. No, they require us to do that for them. They never just change to being able to do such a thing. They don't learn how to be able to build and create some tools to be able to help them be able to eat some more faster, better, more efficiently. They just don't. They don't even just get the grass and just lick it all up or cut it with their tongue and leave it dry, let it dry out so that they can have a more rich, more abundant food. And no, they don't do that. They just do the same thing. They just eat. They eat the same way. Buffalo eat the same way since 1,000 years ago. They're the same. They never have gotten better. They just do the same stuff. In reality, they're actually getting stupider in a way, I would say. They're not getting more intelligent. Because today, I can control some cows with one single little wire that they just don't go past it. Whereas in reality, they should be, and they are smart enough to know how to jump that, but they just don't. They don't even try it. They don't even attempt it. Where I would say probably 100 years ago, the cow would probably just jump the fence if it wanted to go out, if it wanted to be where it wanted to be. They're almost getting less intelligent. I can say the same thing with some pigs. I can say the same thing with some chickens. I can say the same thing with some goats. I can't really say the same thing with some dogs. They're getting different in a way that I'm still questioning their intelligence level on what it is that their purpose is, their goals are. And I thought that I wanted to study the cows and the goats and the pigs more, but in reality, I kind of really enjoy studying these dogs more because they're fascinating. They're super fascinating. They're not my top tier priority of like my favorite animal in reality. I could say today my favorite animal is some chickens because they're fascinating. They act way more like humans than anything else that I played with out here. They're super interesting. But they don't upgrade what they do. My chickens, when they're like a little confused, they just default to, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I got some that sleep outside the coop because they just don't know how to get back in when they broke out. They jump out, but they don't know how to jump back in. That doesn't sound like intelligence to me. But we as human beings, you could put me anywhere, or not just even me, but anybody, anywhere. Even a 5-year-old kid would figure this out, knowing that if they just stood in place, nothing's going to come to them, that they need to move and go and find some assistance and find some help. But these animals don't do that. They're just not intelligent in any way. They're literally just moving off of straight instinct, that they have almost, I'm going to say in reality, zero intelligence. That's what I challenge and I question with dogs. That I don't believe that they're intelligent. I think they're just so instinctually inclined that they're doing what they're doing based on instincts, not because they're smart, like a human being has the intelligence. They're doing just because their instinct is telling them. Their instinct is saying, if I do this, I'll get that. Their instinct is just pushing that forward. Not that they're intelligent like a human being in any sort of way. That's why for me, I'm still going to have a 100% success rate with working with any situation with these dogs. because my intelligent level to them is just mind-blowing to them. They can't possibly keep up. They don't know what the heck to do next because I'm already 1,000 steps ahead of them. So they're just like, I just do what this person says and I love it. This guy is just on it. He's the smartest of the smartest. And I'm like, I appreciate you for saying that to me, but I'm not. I'm just doing what God is telling me to do, that the Bible is telling me to do, that it's telling me that if I do it like this, things are going to be good for me. It's fascinating. These animals don't live that way, but we as humans do. So if we evolved from animals and we evolved from some sort of vegetation and we got to this point, man, I can go onto some trees and some grass and some plants and some vines and all kinds of things and some fish. Why do they do the same thing they've always done? A tree has always grown as a tree. It goes from the ground, it goes up. It cuts, it curves because it's trying to get to the sun better, and it goes up. It's been doing the same thing since we knew what trees were. They don't do anything different today. Why aren't they evolving anymore? Why aren't they growing into something better, something greater? Because we're having an issue, or at least around here I would say, is a lot of trees that are just dying and going, just dying. Literally just standing up dead. Why haven't they learned to evolve to get past these sticky situations that they run in? Why wouldn't they learn how to live better? Why are they still doing the same stuff? But we as humans are constantly growing to being into a better situation. That there was a day that we used to walk everywhere. Then there was a day that we decided, hey, that's a cool looking animal. Maybe I could use that animal to get me to get around faster. We use some donkeys, we use some camels, we use some horses. Then we got on those and we was like, man, I want to be able to carry stuff with me and a couple of people. I don't want to just go by myself. So then we made some carriages and we put them behind these animals to get them to pull us. And then we were like, this farm work is hard. I'm out here with my shovel and my pick trying to do these rows. Let's get these mules. Let's get these, we were using even cows and bulls and stuff to pull these big pieces of equipment to be able to do what we were doing times 1,000 with ease, with just sitting on a seat and moving. And then we moved from the simple horse in a carriage then we moved to some vehicles. I don't see animals doing anything like this. But if we evolved from them, why wouldn't we see something like that going on this planet? Why wouldn't we see that the animals are also learning how to create and make stuff so that they could be able to have an easier, better life? Instead of just doing the same life over and over and over again. I can give you a dog from 100 years ago and give you a dog to today, and its motivation is still the same. Beg, plead me to give me what it wants. That's what it wants. And today I'm telling you, they're running on a further level of instinct to know how to get what they want faster. And that's why they're pushy, they're disobedient, they're stubborn, they're all that. Or some people say, I think my dog's an idiot. Nah, they're just living instinct to get what they want. But a cow is doing the same stuff. They give birth to another one, to another one, to another one, to another one, and they're constantly doing the same old thing again. But I'm going to guarantee you something like this. From what my dad does and what he's still doing and what he's ever done, I'm doing differently. What my kids are going to do, they're going to do differently. What their kids are going to do, they're going to do differently. We're not all doing the same stuff repetitively over and over and over again. When I was little, we didn't have this internet and this I couldn't possibly, the concept of me doing what I'm doing right now when I was 10 years old was an impossible. It was no way. What I'm just doing right here, sitting right here in front of this camera, being able to broadcast this. And then now today I could broadcast this live in reality. Me being a 10-year-old boy, impossible. You would say you would be able to do that in 10 years or when they started getting the live stuff really recently, about 5 years ago. So you'd have told me at 10 years old that 15 years, 30 years later, that we would be able to do that? I'd like, nah, you silly, man. There's no way. That's only for these huge, big news corporations and these big, huge companies. They can do that. This is not easy to do, but we can all do it today with a simple cell phone in our pocket. I'm not doing the same stuff that my son would ever even have to experience and ever have to witness. The same thing with my parents. My parents, we had 0 phones. You were on the road, you were on the road. I remember when we were younger, we were going on road trips, we were going places. There was a map that you pulled out that you had. Who picks up a map anymore today? We're constantly getting better, more efficient. Just efficiency is the one thing that I just really have noticed that is the most amazing thing about us as human beings. We take stuff that's challenging and we make it easy. It's challenging to break a horse, to train a horse, to get a horse right so we have transportation. So we instead created these automobiles so that we can get around. And then we say, you know what, that's not good enough. Let's build these planes. Efficient. How efficient is an airplane to get from place to place? I can go all the way around this world in a matter of a day. That's extremely efficient. It's amazing. It's so cool. It's incredible. But there's not a single animal that does that. There's not a single species of anything out here other than human beings that do that. So it just makes me think, if we evolved from that, Why wouldn't everything else be doing that? Why are we the only things on this planet that are doing that? Why are we the only things in this planet that are constantly worried about political thing? Who's gonna win? Who this? Who did that? Who wrong? Who this? Who? No, we don't. We don't. The animals don't do that. The animals don't care. They give zero cares what political debate is going on tonight. But we as human beings put a lot of energy into it, a lot of emphasis into it. That's just, I don't know, simple stuff like that, simple questions like that I ask myself and I try to figure out, just leads me more to just understand that something created me, that I didn't just show up. And then it lets me know that I was created for a reason, for a purpose, for a design, and not just showed up. Because living in a world that I just showed up would be disastrous, I would feel like. Because then you would have like no meaning, no existence. You're just here. Then you're like, here for what? You would have no idea of like in reality what right and wrong is. Someone would say, oh, we all know that as human beings. But why do dogs and cats and horses and donkeys and cows and bulls and buffaloes and everything else not know what's right and wrong? Because a lion, knowing right and wrong, wouldn't just go and attack the gazelle and go attack the things. And the mountain lions wouldn't go attack the goats and attack the sheep and attack all the cows and attack even coyotes and even themselves. They all do that. They don't know what's right from wrong. They just do. They go. They make it happen. A dog, when it wants to fight another dog, it doesn't care. It doesn't think what's right and wrong. It thinks I'm right by making sure that I kill that thing and it's not breathing, it's not living anymore because I'm moving on. They don't have a right and wrong. They don't have a sense of what they should do and what they should stay away from. They just do. They get it done. But we as human beings, we have that. But if we were evolved from animals and that, then we would be out here doing the same stuff of just fighting just to fight. We wouldn't have it in us that anything that we did was wrong. We wouldn't have it in us that anything we were doing was bad. We would just do it. We would just make it happen because we would have no guilt, no shame, no nothing. When I see a rooster attack another rooster to the point that he's damaging him, he's ready to get on him. He's ready to just end that rooster's life. He doesn't look in any sort of way of feeling any sort of guilt. He's like, woohoo, I did what's up. I'm good. I'm better. I'm strong. I'm the best. They don't care. But we as human beings, when we do something tragic, when we do something that we shouldn't have done, we get these emotions that come behind us, these feelings that come behind us, the sensations of like, I didn't do right. I'm not doing what's right. I know I'm not doing what's right. I need to do something different. Where did that come from? Why don't the animals act like that? Why do the animals just not care? They don't care. This happens very often in the animal world with something from the cows and the goats and the sheep. That in the goats, the boys, the billies, step on their baby sometimes and just kill them. And they move on like nothing happened. They'll step on that baby and suffocate it, or lay on it, suffocate it, and it dies. And they just get up, look at it like, oh, that was in my way. Let me just move on with my life. They just don't care. But we as human beings, we can't do that. We just can't do that. We may be able to, some people on this planet do it in a way, a sense of thinking that if it's not actually alive and born, it's only in your stomach that you can do that. That's still, you have something in you. I guarantee you that you have something in you. When you knew that life was in you and you ended it, you get something going on inside of you. You don't just let that go. You don't just forget it, ignore it, and act like it didn't happen. Animals can very, I'm telling you, so easily do that. I've watched it over and over again. I've watched animals do ruthless things to animals and they do not care. They have zero care, zero shame, zero guilt. They move on with their life as a way of thinking like, woohoo, now there's one less to eat. Not that they did anything wrong. But we as humans have something behind us. And that just proves to me more that God created me. He put me here and he's done something for me to design me. And he's given me a sense of what's right and what's wrong. And in reality, he created us to know a sense of right, to stay away from the wrong. And not even give us the full scope of what wrong is and what bad even is. But we ended up in that. And that's where I'm going to say that there's the difference between what the animals are and what we are. We understand good and bad. I believe that the animals only understand what good is. They don't know what bad is. Because tragic happens to them and they just don't care. That's why it's an interesting thing for someone to say to me, like I used to watch a lot of, when I was on my vegan eating days, of watching the side of it that are in it because they don't want to abuse the animals and hurt the animals. But I'm going to tell you this right now, that a cow doesn't care. A goat doesn't care. Sheep don't care. Chickens don't care. They don't care. They don't have any care of what we do to them. They just don't care. They have zero emotion. And someone could try to post a video and watch a deer that's passing away. The deer it doesn't care. It has zero, it's like what do you call it? A non-playing character. It's just there. It's a being there. You play a sad music to try to amplify and get into the human emotion. But when you just turn that off and just watch it pass away, it's almost in a way of saying thank you, is what these animals in reality truly are all about. Because they don't understand both sides that we as humans do. They don't understand the bad stuff. They only see good. They only see right. They only see awesome. And then they're so terrified because God made them that way. That I know for a fact that, I don't know for a fact, but based on what my Bible states, that the animals were different before the flood. Because God made a specific emphasis on putting the fear in the animals after they were released from Noah in the ark when they got back to some dry land. So they didn't used to have the fear, but then now they have fear in them. That they were different, that they changed, that something was added to them. But they don't understand anything outside of what's good and what's bad. They just live off of that instinct of just surviving and just thriving based on doing the same stuff over and over again, not evolving into a way of getting better and being better and doing more and having more. And it's just something fascinating to me that I'm thinking about as simple as some stupid monkeys. If they were so smart, they're so intelligent, why wouldn't they just create the same type of homes that we have as human beings? Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they be able to figure out how to be able to create electricity, be able to create power, be able to create vehicles, create tools, create instruments so that they can eat easier and better, create stuff to be able to store up food for themselves so that they can be able to have a more simpler life, create things to be able to harvest their food at a more abundant rate so they don't have to sit out there and constantly keep on working every single day to get the food, that they could work a day and be able to have food for a month. Why would they do that same stuff that we as human beings do? It just lets me know more that God is real, because I was designed and I was put here, and I was put here for a purpose, to be able to do something that these animals are incapable of doing. And I'm going to sit here and still say that I don't care how much we as human beings work with some dogs. They will never ever be as intelligent, nowhere near what we are as people. You're not going to watch a dog decide, I'm going to figure out how to harvest my own food so that I can be able to store it up and build something to be able to store it in so that I can be able to eat my food more freely. The dog's not going to do that. A dog is a dog. It's never going to be able to be something that is just so magnificent. The same with every single animal out here. And just everything, the evolution of what we know, what we've been studying of animals. We watch them do the same stuff over and over. That just really lets me know that God is extremely powerful and He created this and made this. Because we as humans don't do that. You'll never find a time in history that we're just doing the same stuff since the day that we've ever even known. Just pay attention to all the inventions that we've created. All the way to the time of simple can be as like the microwave that everybody uses today. I remember when those start to become more consumer-based, that we could have them in our homes. Because I remember when we got ours when I was a kid. I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. We got a first microwave. And people use it like crazy today. And we never had that before. We constantly keep doing these things to keep getting better. We never just stay the same and or even get worse. We're constantly making things to be more. The main thing is efficient so that we can be able to live a more simpler life. But animals never do that. So there's no way that I evolved from an animal. There's no way that I evolved from no species of anything sort out here. That I was made how I look today. And I was put here. That's who I am. That's what I'm all about. Because in reality, if it was such that I could have been evolved from something, then I should be able to mix myself with one of these animals, right? And be able to create one. I would be able to birth one. But we don't do that. And we can't do that. And that still hasn't been done. And I don't believe anyone's going to be able to do such a thing. They're going to create a human dog, dogoid. I don't know what you will call that. A dogonoid. I think that's what that would be. That'd be pretty interesting, but I don't think that could happen. Because we're completely different kinds. And if it does happen, we know we're messing up. We're going back into old days of where we shouldn't be and what we shouldn't be doing. But I just know that if you did that, you'd run into a situation. Because then that person would have the instinct of a dog. And they wouldn't be intelligent anymore. They would just be living on instinct, on getting. So in reality, that'd kind of be a pretty cool, interesting project to see. For me to just prove more that we were created. And we weren't just evolved into something. Because you would watch just savageness. That's just what dogs are and what animals are. They're simple savages. They just live the same life over and over. We as humans are constantly getting better and doing better and evolving into something that is just nothing near what any animal is capable of. It just proves to me more that we are definitely out here created and made. And we're definitely out here created and made to be in a purpose. We're definitely put out here created and made to be able to run, manage, and control all of these animals and all of this vegetation. To work it all. to process it all, to do what we need with it all, so that we can be able to have a better existence on this planet, so that we can live and live longer and do more and do better. There's a time that we lived longer than we did today, and then times went down. And then we're going right back into it again, that we're living longer. We're living longer. Why? Because we as human beings are doing what? Getting better with our scientific discoveries. That we can do hip replacement, knee replacements. We can do heart replacements. We got dang near people out there trying to do head replacements. We could do liver replacements, kidney replacements. We got arms that are now, they're doing stem cell stuff to be able to, you put a fake arm on and be able to use it. Where have you ever seen an animal do such a thing? Where has an animal ever thought its brain of, let's do some surgery on our buddy over here because he got mauled by that lion. Let's do surgery on him so that we can fix him, heal him up. Let's put some stitches in him. Let's create some antibiotics so he doesn't catch an infection. What animals have ever done such a thing? And if we evolved from that, why don't other animals create antibiotics? Why don't they create suits? What do they call sutures? Why don't they create MRI machine? Why don't they create an X-ray machine so they can figure out what's wrong with them? But only we as human beings are able to do that. There's just no way that I came from an animal. I definitely came from being a created source, that I was just there he is. There's a man. And then there's a woman. And then they just started being able to mate, and now we're all here. We didn't come from anything else but that. I don't know why and how, but I know that that's just the way that it was. And that's the way that it's always going to be. And the proof for me is always out here every single day with the more and more of the animals that I keep working with. That I don't know what it is I'm going to say. The closer and more animals I work with and the closer I get to them, the more that I keep understanding them, the more I realize exactly who God and what God is all about. But I just noticed that the majority of people today, even on this entire planet today, do not work with the animals, don't do anything with them anymore. And we're getting so far away from having an understanding of anything about them. And I think that that's something and a small side of why we're getting so far away from understanding who God is. Because God is in all of this. He created it. It's not in it that he's living in it. He created it. He made it all. And it all is a reflection of how intelligent God is. With all the trees, with all the microbes, with all the little beings, with everything that's going on. And the more that you surround yourself around it, the more that you see God on a day-to-day, minute, second-to-second basis. You just see him everywhere and everything. But when you're forced away from it, when you're living in all concrete, you got a little patch of grass somewhere that's probably not even real grass. It's some fake stuff that they planted there. And you never even see trees anymore. You get so disconnected from understanding who God really actually truly is because you don't see what he created. You just look in the mirror and just start to dislike your own self because you're just like, why do I look like this? And why can't I look like that I see on Instagram that people look like? And I'm going to say, man, these people on this Instagram, I'm telling you, majority of them are fake. It's all fake. And today it's getting even faker with all these filters and all this fancy little stuff we got on our stuff. When you go outside and go to the store, where do you see these like super amazing, glamorous, flawless looking people at? Because I'm going to tell you this, you don't. You only see it on your phone. You don't see it in real life when you go places. It's only on your phone. You should think hard about that. But I just have a good understanding of realizing that God has created this and he's made this. And the more I put myself in the creation that he's created, the more I see him, the more I appreciate him. And I would want more people to just really think hard about, ask some questions. Ask some questions. Why is it that we as people are the only ones that are able to do what we do? My dog isn't figuring out how to run this camera. It'd be cool because then he could be my cameraman for me. He can help me move around and do what I got to do and set it up when I don't feel like setting it up. But he'll never be able to figure that out. He'll never be able to do it. He'll never be able to just set this up, hit the record button, go in the house, put it in the editing software, chop it down, get it right, upload it, push all the buttons right. He'll never, ever, ever be able to do that. But we as humans can. And I'm watching young baby children be able to do such a thing. There are 2, 3-year-olds today that could do that. That's something that is just absolutely incredible. But yet these animals can't do that. They can't do it. They can't make it happen. Why? If I came from them, why can't they do what I do? Thank you.